Hey everyone, today I want to talk about compulsions that might be keeping you stuck, compulsions that are usually often missed because they can be really subtle, and they're not easy to understand unless you've been through OCD recovery, because even the tone of someone's voice, how they ask a question, and these little subtle tiny things that they're looking for certainty on, or they're trying to escape an urge, are all part of the problem when it comes to decreasing those compulsive behaviors. Before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button, comment down below. I engage with all the comments. We love a good discussion. If you're interested in our webinar or coaching services, please email info@ocdrecovery.com and we will get back to you in a timely fashion. So I have 6 things that I want to go over. Rob and I were talking about some of the subtle compulsions that we see when it comes to OCD and anxiety recovery. And these are things that are often missed because to the untrained eye, they seem so minuscule that they might not be a big problem. So I'll give you an example. Let's say someone has contamination OCD. We'll use a very basic example. And they're not touching a door handle in their house. They haven't touched it for 10 years. To the untrained eye, that person could think, oh, well, they have to touch that door handle and feel the discomfort. But it might not be just touching the door handle. They could be touching the door handle and then trying to self-reassure in their mind. So unless someone understands OCD, they might be having someone using this example, that exposure, but then they're missing all the other intricate details that go inside of that exposure of how they're trying to escape the discomfort. So the first thing I want to talk about is the tone of voice that people are using. So right now in the industry of OCD and anxiety recovery, there are a lot of unhealthy tones being used by the sufferer and also the person working with the sufferer. Let me give you an example of an unhealthy tone of someone working with the sufferer. How are you? It's great to see you. Everything is so great. Oh, so sorry for you. Treating you like a baby, they're doing you no favors. OCD recovery is way too serious for someone to be treating you like a fucking baby. And I can tell you this because I work with enough sufferers and understand the ones who have been consistently coddled and had no tough love approach have a very difficult time hearing the tough love that they need. Now, this goes all the way back to how they were raised and certain things that they're, if they're used to getting everything they want, well, I got a wake-up call for you. You're not going to get everything you want when it comes to OCD and anxiety recovery. You're going to have to hear some tough love, the realities of the journey, things that you just don't want to hear, and everything else in between. And that's really, really important to understand that. Now, the tone of voice from the sufferer, which is so often missed, is a combination of like this venting tone where they're like, yeah, okay, all right. Like they're not really paying attention. They're waiting for you to say something. If they were saying that and I said to them, hey, you got to do this one thing and you'll recover, they'll go, what did you say? Oh, say that one more time. They're very disengaged. So the tone of voice being used from the sufferer can instill like, can you repeat that one more time? Oh, wait, I just want to hear that again. This is hard to hear. It's the truth. It's that unfirm, wishy-washy, rainbow tone that we hear all over the place that puts a pie in the sky that doesn't do you any good. I can tell you this for a fact. The people who have made the least amount of progress in OCD recovery and the people who make content on the internet who say that they're recovered but they're not recovered are the people with the weakest tone in their voice, the softest tone where anything could snap their belief system because their belief system is so incredibly fragile. It's not strong or robust by any means. It's not even above the surface, above the surface of surface level. Above the surface of surface level. Yeah, that makes sense. Not really. But like if this is a whole entire bucket and this is robust beliefs, they're a little bit above the bottom of the bucket. They're nowhere near a robust belief system. And I could see it in the way they talk and how easily they're unfortunately offended by certain things. And that's a huge problem when it comes to bringing down some of those subtle behaviors. The second thing I want to talk about is sessions and webinars. So the biggest thing we see is people showing up to a session and saying, hey, I'm ready, can you call me now? Trying to get that certainty, trying to get that extra little bit of relief. Almost every single time, like clockwork on the webinars, people start the webinars early. When we ask them, hey, we'll start the webinars, wait for us, never happens. People will start those webinar services before we even show up. And that's a big problem because that's a desperate search for a feeling. You're looking for, oh, I'm the first person here. Oh, I know the webinar is going to happen. Another thing that Rob wanted me to actually speak about, because we do say this, if you're seeing someone in person, so you're seeing someone that's helping you in an office or something like that, what you'll do is you'll ring the doorbell. You'll be like, ooh, let me in. Can you let me in now? Just to get that little bit of relief that you're looking for. That's a massive problem when it comes to your overall progress. So when it comes to sessions and webinars, getting comfortable with not needing to be there early is one of the most important things for OCD and anxiety recovery, because you want to get used to not needing to feel a certain way whilst waiting for the calls to start. That is so incredibly important. The third thing is repeating questions. Now, when we have calls, especially first-time calls, it's understandable, but it is important to cover because it's holding you back, is people won't say a whole lot, and then they'll know that the call's coming to an end, and they'll be like, hey, can you repeat that one more time? Hey, just say that for me one more time. Hey, can you repeat that again? Can you say that a different way? And they're looking for that reassurance. So when we say, we're not going to repeat it again, we'll cover it the next session, they can, understandably so, get very angry and resentful because they're looking for this relief, this desperate relief that they're looking for. So getting comfortable with that is so key. Realizing that you don't have to have everything covered in the first session, the second, third, fifth, eighth. You're not just gonna, I always tell people, you're not gonna show up to 2 webinars and 5 coaching calls and then be recovered. We're not saying the amount that someone needs to come in. That varies from person to person and what the person wants to do. It's very difficult to recover on your own, okay? We know that. It was very hard because of the morphing and the changing and the realness and the urgency of how OCD presents. It's very difficult for someone to understand that by just watching a few videos. But it's also important to realize that by just coming to a couple coaching calls, you're not gonna have all the tools you need to recover on your own, usually, just because it feels so real and it's so convincing. So those repeating questions are understandable, but getting used to the uncertainty is such a key part for your overall recovery progress. Now, the fourth thing we're going to talk about, we see this on the webinars. I watch it, how you're doing. I recommend when people come on the webinars, they take no notes, none. And that freaks people out. And they're like, whoa, I paid for this. I want to take the notes. The reason why is because you are so obsessed about looking for the correct content, maybe the perfect thing Nick or Rob says or Moment says. Maybe you're coming to, a seminar where Gemma's speaking and you're like, ooh, Gemma's speaking. She's a mother. She's went through OCD. Let me write that down as fast as I can. I could see it. It's the compulsive chase for relief. And we hear on the calls too, typing. Hey, can you do me a favor? You don't have to type all this out. I'm going to send you some notes. Oh, no, I just want to make sure. It's that compulsive search for certainty that you're looking for. So compulsive note-taking is a big one that I struggled with. Kirsty, who did videos in the channel about a year and a half ago, lots of videos, she talked about her compulsive note-taking, and that's in and outside of sessions. I'm just using the example of on a coaching session or a webinar session. So it's really important to realize that I'm just getting over being sick. So if I cough a little bit, that's why you hear that. So the fifth thing that's super compulsive when it comes to this is not bottling up. So in the mental health industry, there's a lot of absolutely not good information that you should never bottle anything up inside of you. That is very, very bad and leads to compulsive reassurance seeking when it comes to OCD and anxiety recovery. So when you look at anger, for an example, one of the biggest mistakes that anger management places make is they teach you to always let it out. But that's a common misunderstanding. Learning how to feel angry without acting on it, actually allowing it to all bottle up inside you and feeling that discomfort is much more valuable of a lesson than actually reaching out and always expressing the anger, like punching a punching bag or doing something like that. It's a common mistake. I see it all the time in the anger community, and it is holding many people back because they don't want to feel the anger. It's like bottling up inside them, like they're vibrating with energy. So that's a super important part. Now, if you go into a session and we go back to the first point, the tone, and the person's like, just let it all out, just talk about it. That is a one-way street to constant reassurance seeking, and it's a massive problem. And I see it all the time. I see it all day. It's why people come to us, because we tend to work with the worst sufferers. And I don't mean like worse in the sense like they're worse off and they can't recover. We just work with people who have been to 6, 7 different centers, in and out of mental hospitals, and We tell them how, what worked for you, what didn't. They tell us, and it's very clear that people just don't understand OCD. It's not easy to understand. We're finally now, after thousands of years, understanding what it takes and all the intricate details that go behind OCD and anxiety recovery. So that is a big thing holding you back, thinking that you never need to bottle something up. I have to vent. I have to blurt things out. We see this in the webinars. I'll be in the middle of speaking. Some will turn their mic on. Let me ask a question. You have to curb that. You have to sit with that urge. You don't need to actually do that. There's no one, you don't need to actually turn your mic on and ask a question at a turn. It has nothing to do with respect. It's about you need to learn how to sit with the urge and the anxiety and not reach out. That is such a key part of OCD and anxiety recovery. And this is so often missed, especially someone that's just doing regular talk therapy with you and they're just letting you go on and on and on. I cut people off all the time in our coaching calls. I'm like, okay, that's enough. I don't need to know any more information. Yeah, but nope, it's okay. I don't have to know anymore. And people naturally get angry in that moment because they're so used to just letting it out. When you actually want the opposite and you want to learn how to not need to let it out. You don't have to speak to OCD about your family members all day long, et cetera, et cetera. And the sixth thing and the most important part in this entire list, in my opinion, is no personal responsibility when it comes to your OCD and anxiety recovery journey. And this tool will supersede OCD and anxiety recovery and bleed over into everything in your life. So let me give you an example. Hey, there's some really good videos on the playlist about sensory motor that I've done. Can you do me a favor and send me those videos? No, you can look them up yourself, okay? Oh, what's your opinion on that? Have you watched this? You don't need my opinion on that. You don't have to know if I've watched something. Can you work that out for me? Can you show me that on paper, like word for word? I'll show you what I think that you need to know on the paper. And that is something that takes the control out of your hands and kind of puts it back in my hands, because I am giving you an opportunity, whether you listen or not, to sit with the unknown and the discomfort. If the person that you're working with is giving you everything you're asking for, they probably don't understand OCD. If you're asking them numerous questions and they're answering every single one, there's a good chance that half or more of those questions are reassurance, especially in the beginning, understandably so, and they're giving you the reassurance you're looking for. That principle is critical to understand. So let's do a summary. The tone from the sufferer and the person working with you. I'm telling you, if someone's treating you like a baby, you're not an baby, you're an adult. No matter what age you are, if you're 20, if you're 17, if you're 55, speaking to you like you're a fragile little bird is so unhelpful for OCD and anxiety recovery, and we see it all the time. Starting sessions early. Hey, can you start the call now? Hey, can we move the call up a day? Hey, over and over again. Repeating questions. Can you say that one more time? Can you say it in a different way? Wait, I didn't understand that. Wait, can you use a different verb? Can you use a different word? All that. Note-taking, compulsive note-taking needs to come down. If you're not doing your disputing homework, no need to take notes all day. I see people with sticky notes all over their walls, totally compulsive, not inherently bad, but slippery slope. Not bottling it up. Remember, like I said, you don't have to get it all out there. One of the best things I learned was to actually allow the sensations and the images and the urges and everything to bottle up inside me and take a calm and rational approach, even when it felt like inside I was catching on fire and taking no responsibility. And I want to leave you with this quote, one of Rob and I's favorite quotes by Jim Rohn, the late Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins' mentor, died in 2007. Really like this guy. He has a great talk on YouTube from 1981, Anaheim. If you just type in Jim Rohn's speech, it will come right up. First three things. It's 2 hours long and the chalkboard in the background. He says one of the number one signs of human maturity is personal responsibility. Many of you heard me say that quote. It is absolutely critical for your recovery journey, absolutely critical for anything you do in your life. I always think to myself, if Erica died tomorrow, would I be able to handle everything? Would I be able to run, everything in our lives? And because it wouldn't be split in two anymore. Whatever the roles are, whether it's work or our dogs and cleaning the house, it would just be me. It would just be me. And I'd have to step up and take control of that stuff, or I would just, it would go to the wayside and things wouldn't be good. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'm surprised because I was sick. I only coughed one time, and I was like, oh, if I'm going to cough too many times in this video, I'm going to have to redo it. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're interested in our webinar services, which are every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. UK time, unless we have like a ROCD 1 and 2, then we do one on Tuesday and Friday. Email info@ocdrecovery.com. Again, that is info@ocdrecovery.com, and we hope to hear from you. Have a good one, everyone.